What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hadfield. Joining me this week is Justin Davis,
Scoop.
Marty Sleva, and Sam Claiborne.
And I'm your host, Samuel Claiborne.
What? What? We've got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about Dragon Quest XI. We're going to share how we feel about killing animals in games.
I'm for it.
Oh, man.
But first, a word from our sponsor.
Thanks, Damon. Want a Nintendo Switch? Of course you do. That's right, this week Cheez-It Grooves and IGN are teaming up to give you a chance to win a Nintendo Switch console, Breath of the Wild, and a 6-month supply of Cheez-It Grooves. Just go to go.ign.com/Cheez-It Grooves for more info. Switching back to you, Damon.
Okay, thanks, Naomi. Now, Dragon Quest XI is a role-playing video game coming to Japan this year. Has not been announced for the West.
You can call
yet.
it Drockway.
Don't call it Drockway. Please don't call it Drockway.
Do not ever call
We
it
know
Drockway.
a lot of
Jared's
people
gone.
that called it Drockway.
Yeah.
Not a lot of
Jared and
people.
Jeremy.
We know
Jared
one.
and Jeremy Parrish.
That doesn't even save you much time.
Well, we all called it
Ridiculous.
Dragon Warrior.
Yeah.
Of course, Dragon Quest XI, the next in the long-running Dragon Quest series. And we found out today it's getting an unusual pack
So exciting.
Yeah.
in Japan. Something I've never even, in all my
Unprecedented?
my time of covering video games, I've never heard of something like this. There's a special edition pack in Japan. This game is coming to PlayStation 4, 3DS, and Switch.
Very odd.
The special edition pack in Japan includes the PS4 version and the 3DS version in the same pack.
Yeah, it's super weird. That is like,
How did Square Enix pull this off?
well, they're fine. The console war is over.
There's a number of interesting there's a number of interesting
Oh, and
things.
also, sorry, Vita.
Exactly. That's the thing. So PS4 and the 3DS version in the same pack.
Because at least it's coming out for Switch.
First of all,
Well,
Surely you mean the Switch version and the 3DS
Right.
version, Damon.
I guess you're gonna play these two very different versions of the same gigantic RPG. Not to mention, both of these platforms holders, PlayStation and Nintendo, have a home console and a portable.
Yep.
So it could have been the PS4 packed in with the Vita version, or it could have been the 3DS packed in with the Switch version, or just the Switch version.
Yeah. So the weird thing about this is also they didn't mention anything about the Switch version.
Yeah.
And everyone, IGN Japan, reached out to Nintendo and were like, no comment. So we don't know what's happening with the Switch
Is
version.
the Switch version a better version of the 3DS version, or is it a worse
So
version
the other
of the
interesting
PS4
thing
version?
is that there are 3 visual versions of this
Yeah,
game.
that's
It is the HD PS4 version.
Yep.
It is the non-HD but still 3D 3DS version.
Yep.
And then you can toggle the 3DS version to play the entire game 2D.
Which is probably the way to play this.
Which is
Yeah, it's super cool. On the 3DS version, it can show you on the top screen a nice 3D Dragon Quest game. And then on the bottom, it's just like you're doing the same thing on the world map, like walking around in 8-bit.
Yeah,
looking
it's
graphics.
super cool looking.
That's great.
Yeah, I love it.
Pretty smart.
Yeah.
So this game has not officially been announced for the West, although many.
Neither have the last 2 Dragon Quest games.
Is that how far behind we are? We just got 8, right? We
Well,
just
10
got 8 on 3DS,
Well, the MMO
it
was
which was a
special.
re-release.
Nothing since 8 on PS2 has come out here.
But that's not considering the Dragon Quest Builders games.
Yeah,
which
Builders
do
and
come out.
Heroes have come
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
But yeah, 10, which was the MMO that was on Wii U, never came.
Yeah.
And 9 never came out here.
Yeah, 9 didn't come out
Okay,
here.
all right.
Well, and it's interesting that Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy started. Final Fantasy's ahead by 4 games now. Catch up, Dragon Quest team.
Yeah.
Yeah, Drakways.
Drockway.
Or Drawa. That's what they're called in the US.
Drawas.
Oh, daddy.
So, if Dragon Quest XI were to come to the West, I have a hard time imagining it would get a pack like this. That would include the PS4 and the 3DS version.
Only in a Japanese utopia is something like that possible.
Well, my thing is, I don't want either of those. I just want a Switch version now.
Exactly.
That's my thing. Well, I want a Switch version of everything, but
Yeah.
especially of a JRPG where
Snake
I'm
Pass.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to think of a precedent for something like this. It is very impressive. It's like the first time Sonic and Mario are in a game together.
Yeah.
But there is, like when you get a DVD and it has the Blu-ray and the code in it, or if you get a record and it has the MP3
Yeah,
code.
the download code.
But
Yeah.
those aren't directly competing with each other
Exactly.
for 2 decades. Now, there was the Nintendo PlayStation.
It's
Well,
unprecedented.
Almost.
It's been since then. And Square is the one that drove the wedge between
Yeah,
Nintendo
with
Yeah.
Final
and
Fantasy
Sony
VII.
originally.
Yeah. Full
They're
circle.
back together.
If we did get this same pack in the West, I wonder what that would mean for MPD. You just get like both platform holders, just
Yeah.
get that sales boost for every one of
Yeah.
these sold. It's
Yeah.
crazy to think of that. Because here in the US, once a month we get our MPD numbers and we get to see what was the best-selling game of the previous month. And now they roll up all the SKUs for a certain game. So like if Uncharted 4 is included in the PS4 bundle, they include that version of the game.
I mean, I'm a big proponent of the one console future in general.
know you are.
So anything that nudges us closer in that direction, I want to play Halo and Uncharted and all those games in one box. I think and Zelda. I don't think we need separate video game consoles. One console, please.
I know.
How about getting 2 games for 2 different consoles in one package? It doesn't help that
No.
future.
Anyway, Dragon Quest XI. Wonders never cease to amaze in Japan. Moving on, let's check in with our listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Listeners, remember you can always reach us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com, just like Ollie in Croydon, UK did.
Dude, I loved your skateboarding game.
Yep. Ollie says, question for the panel. I'm a profound wuss.
Wow. Wow.
I've been a vegetarian for a year, and I have recently got 2 bunnies as pets.
Aw.
I'm against killing animals in general, and I struggle to play games with that involved. It held me back from buying Horizon Zero Dawn. Let me chill in a little secret. Those are not animals.
Yeah.
And anything that has animal killing in it, especially killing rabbits, really bothers me. I know this is daft. That's how you know it's from the UK.
Love it, yeah. Check
But
that.
have any of the panel had a similar moral quandary like this?
Miranda doesn't hunt in Zelda.
Yeah?
Oh.
Really?
She won't kill the animals in Zelda.
But is Miranda a vegetarian in real life?
No.
But you are.
Yeah, but it's weird killing animals in that game just because they don't really do anything mean to you, and they also provide other uses, and you just shoot them in the head.
Well, but
and they go, wee! They squeal and they knock over.
And then they turn into meat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I love dropping rocks on Koroks.
Yeah. It feels really good.
We
Yeah.
should start this game
Yeah.
anymore, really.
We actually have another question about how to get past Zelda coming up, but that's later on the show.
Yeah, I can see that.
I have no interest in hunting in real life, although I'm not a vegetarian. I totally eat meat. But I do if there's I wouldn't kill an animal in a game unless it served a purpose. Like in Zelda, I kill all the animals because I want to get all that meat.
And there are the real animals in Horizon that you can kill for, there's
That's
the
true.
turkeys and
That's true.
the boars and
But
stuff.
you use them.
They also use them.
So that's an important distinction.
I mean, how many games can you
hunting.
kill animals where you don't use them?
Well, or you're forced to.
Like Red Dead?
Raving rabbits.
Yeah, raving rabbits. Yeah.
You use the
I
stuff
don't
in
think
Red
you
Dead.
kill any rabbits in that game.
I mean,
They're
it's
all
definitely
dying all the time.
It's odd to single out
They're begging for
animals
death.
compared to you kill. So they frame them in Horizon as bandits. They're bandit camps, but you often don't see them doing anything wrong. They're just people living their life, and you go in and you kill all of them. You clear out the whole bandit camp. And did you really verify that they were actually bandits?
I do find it interesting, the moral quandary of you don't want to kill animals, but I imagine Ollie probably plays GTA. And,
Kills
yeah.
millions of people.
Also, isn't a moblin an animal? In
Well,
theory, in
Yeah,
Zelda.
it's like a pig man.
Yeah, it's a pigman.
But there's they have
There's I had a film professor in college who just would show great movies, and we had a class with her that was about crime movies. It was we watch all these famous crime movies, and she couldn't stand animal violence in movies, period. But she also had a class about zombie movies and ultra violence.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what we studied.
Yeah.
But she would turn around and walk out of the room for animal violence.
Yeah.
And it's just certain people. It's just a thing. It's
totally-
harder to watch. They're helpless.
Exactly.
It's not like fighting a Tyrannosaurus, right?
They're the only true innocents among us. I'm reminded of The Sopranos. Probably season 1 storyline when
it's a deep cut.
a family of ducks come and live in Tony's pool for a while, and he starts taking care of them. And then one day they just fly away. And Tony Soprano, a very violent man who's killed tons of people, is overcome with grief that these ducks have flown away, and he doesn't get to hang out with them anymore.
Yeah. Also, I don't think being a vegetarian and owning 2 bunnies makes you a wuss.
No, I don't think so.
Well, maybe he's a wuss for other reasons. Though we don't.
I went to a relative's house in Austria once, and they raised rabbits. And
They rave the rabbit.
they didn't rave any rabbits, and they were giant. They're huge, beautiful rabbits in sad little cages because they freaking ate them.
Yeah.
And that just seemed really intense because they're at that point they're happy little meat bags in this small little.
They don't know what's about to happen to them. No, there's definitely an element of I think a lot of people chicken raising is very popular in urban environments. Very popular in San Francisco, and I think everyone does it with the intention of we're gonna get eggs for a while, then we'll eat the chicken. But
they probably just end up-
I think inevitably they end up as pets. and then they
Bird
just
flu.
they become little egg machines.
Bird flu came from. Yeah.
To answer the question, no, I don't have any problem killing animals in games. I don't really. It's very easy for me to like. Everyone talks about Nathan Drake mass murder and like all that sort of weird, like the gap between what you're doing in gameplay and the narrative. And I don't. None of that bothers
Do you think
me.
you'd feel differently if there was a game that had like depicted violence against a child? Father?
Yeah.
Like, because I'm just saying, like,
Even as not a father,
yeah.
not interested.
I know a game that you guys have all played where you've murdered tons of children.
Which one?
Super Mario Brothers. Every member of the Mushroom Kingdom
In
got
my
turned
defense-
into a brick in that game.
In my defense, that story
That's the
detail was
true
not
story.
revealed until much later in my life.
I did a pacifist run of Mario.
I mean, I separate out my real life from my game playing life. And like my wife, like when we had kids, she doesn't like watching any show where, a kid is kidnapped or something happens to a kid. And I'm not thinking about, I'm not relating it to my own children. I'm just invested in the story that I'm seeing on screen.
Yeah. All right, this is Daniel from Wake Forest, North Carolina. And he says, Dear Game Scoop crew, first and foremost, thanks for the amazing job you guys do.
You're welcome.
Here's my situation. I truly believe Breath of the Wild ruined gaming for me. Hear me out. I'm a 35-year-old dad of 2 young boys. I love games, but don't get to play as much as I'd like to. There's just not enough time being a marketing exec during the day and a full-time dad at night.
The highfalutin.
But Breath of the Wild shifted the paradigm for me. I put almost 50 hours into it. Most hours for me ever in a game. And the only reason I stopped is that my Switch stopped charging and I had to send it in for repair.
That's not good.
So I picked up Horizon, and I find it borderline unplayable. I wish I played it before Zelda, as it seems great, but it's just not doing anything to keep me engaged. It feels cumbersome to play, and while it's visually breathtaking, graphics just don't mean as much to me as they used to. So the question is, does anyone else feel the same way? Should I play a game in a genre that I've never played before, like Persona 5, to break the Zelda spell? Should I cleanse my gaming palette with a game like Yooka-Laylee? Has Zelda ruined gaming by setting a bar so high for adventure games?
I mean, so first of all, straight up, like Zelda's a better game than Horizon. So that's a hard direction to go, and that's my opinion, right? Like I'm stating it
Straight
as a
up,
fact.
you say it, and then you're like, well, that's my opinion. That's not straight up at
No,
all.
I mean, the words came out of my mouth,
can be
and then
straight
I
up his
felt
opinion.
like I needed to qualify. Like, in my opinion, Zelda's a much better game than Horizon. I thought Horizon was great, but I didn't think it was a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. It's like a solid 7 or 8 out of 10 for me. Like, it's still a fantastic game, but the people that rant and rave about it, I didn't see it that way. So that's even outside of Zelda, I think you're completely imbalanced to pick up Horizon and just have it not be your cup of tea.
Yeah, I do completely agree with the Zelda thing though. This weekend I wanted to play a game, and I wanted to start Persona, I want to start Nier, I want to start Neo. I still have I'm halfway through Horizon, halfway through Zelda. I have Night in the Woods, Sexy Brutale, and all I wanted to do was play Zelda.
Yeah.
And I started Persona, and I felt like I was cheating on Zelda. Like, it was very strange.
You played all of Yooka-Laylee. Would you recommend that as a Zelda?
Yeah, I mean,
because that's like one game you look forward to more than Zelda.
Yeah, totally. And that's one of those things that maybe you should shift to something that doesn't have any comparisons to Zelda.
Yeah.
Something like Persona, something like Yooka-Laylee. Like, they are such different games.
By the way,
Binding
Zelda
of Isaac.
Spellbreaker, you can contract that to Spellbreaker.
Spellbreaker, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is true.
Your Spellbreaker.
What's funny about
Lazy.
Daniel is I tried to do
Lazy.
the exact same thing.
Got
I
the Legend of
played
Zelda? Lazy? You guys are talking about Lazy?
Lazy. I played 50, 60. Daniel's story is my story. It's her story.
We are all Daniel.
His story.
From Wake Forest, North
his story.
Carolina.
I played 50 or 60 hours of Zelda, a father of 2, tried to go back to Horizon, couldn't go back to Horizon, but I'm having a lot of fun with, again, it's random, but Binding of Isaac is the game that I'm getting into, and it's just something completely different. So that would be my advice. Just find some game that's
Horizon back to back. I played Horizon first, and I love it. And I don't have any negative opinions. I thought killing dinosaurs was really fun in that game.
The rest
Very different than Zelda. But the first part of it now, I can imagine the 6 hours of it going back to it. It's fetch quests, and it's not interesting, and it's very pretty.
Yeah,
but it
whereas
might not be
Zelda,
great after
5
that.
seconds into the game, you're having fun.
That's as much of Horizon as I played, was about 6 or 7 hours.
And then the back half of Horizon is a really good story, of which Zelda has none.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. I don't need story in my games. But I like sci-fi a lot. I read a lot of sci-fi books, and the end of Horizon stuff is good sci-fi. It's like a cool post-apocalyptic story that's different from anything else. Doesn't explain the dinosaurs very well, but that's okay because they're dinosaurs.
Yeah, I'm definitely glad I put in like 25 hours into Horizon before Zelda.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I was able to appreciate Horizon without sort of the viewing it through in a post-Zelda world.
Yeah, like you guys, I did play Horizon first before Zelda, and I didn't finish it, although I do want to. I want to get back to it. But after I finished Zelda, instead of going into Horizon, I started playing Persona 5, something totally different. And I'm super enjoying it. Now I feel really hooked on Persona.
Cool.
That being said, I
You
wanted
got
to play
to the first.
I wanted to play Persona on my Switch. I want to play everything on my Switch now.
Yeah,
That's the
I want
problem.
to play everything
I know.
on my Switch.
If we have a
So
one
it's
console
not
future, I
it's
just
not
want
that Zelda ruined gaming. It's that the Switch ruined gaming.
a little bit. Yeah, it's the 1-2 combo.
The 1-2 switch.
That was a bad snap.
I'm bummed that ukulele didn't turn out better.
Yeah, I'm bummed too. It's still a good game. I gave it a 7, which is sort of on the cusp of good.
I consider Banjo-Kazooie one of my favorite games.
Yeah, totally. And at times it scratches that itch, but at other times it's like a step backwards.
That tentacle boss looked really scary.
Very scary.
Kind of gross.
Yeah. Tentacles.
Reminded me of a
What?
Japanimation I saw one time. This is Blake, and Blake says, I was wondering if you guys think that you have to complete or beat a video game to declare it your favorite game of all time. My favorite game ever is Metroid Prime. However, I never beat the boss at the end. I remember defeating it and it turning into a Metroid, and then I died. For some reason, I sort of dropped the ball trying to beat it for a few weeks, and I completely lost my A button mashing mojo, and I gave up. Can I still say it's my favorite game? I feel guilty for declaring it so and not having beaten it.
Damn it. What if he doesn't know that Samus is a lady?
Well,
Yeah.
spoilers.
Why can't Metroid crawl?
It's odd to not, if it's your favorite game, you would think you'd be motivated to go back and beat it. But yeah, you can still call it your favorite game because you still experienced 98% of it, right?
But yeah,
Like,
I find it odd, but totally. I mean, you can say whatever you want is your favorite, but it's just weird if I was like, this is my favorite movie, I never saw the ending of it.
Yeah,
like,
but it's different. It's
that's a
like
little
you're talking
dicey.
about a 2-hour time investment
Yeah.
opposed to 20.
All you got to
plus
do is
hour time
walk over
investment.
some Phazon and then discharge it at the final match.
What if
someone-
what if he just watched the ending on YouTube? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, I
he
think-
played all the
yeah,
game.
totally.
I think that's completely in
Yeah.
bounds.
But it was just weird if someone told me like if I listed my top 20 games of all time, which I think I've exhausted all the content in those games many times, and someone was like, hey, in this game, there's still a little bit left at the end, I would totally jump back in and be like, oh, I totally want to see the secret journey ending or whatever.
You spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it out of there alive. No, I think about my favorite game is Super Metroid, but I'm not the type of person like some people are like, I play Link to the Past every year, you know. I haven't played Super Metroid in goodness, probably 6 or 7 years. And I still say it's always like, yeah, it's my favorite game of all time. Of course it is. Like, what else could it be? But like, is it? Like, I haven't played that game in a long, like since I worked at IGN, certainly. And I've been here 6 years. So that trips me up a little. Like, I haven't played that, and I haven't played Symphony of the Night.
They both hold up.
You know, never or in a long time.
They're my 1 and 2 favorite games, and I haven't played them in a long time. But there's certain games that I don't declare my favorite game of all time that I'm more willing to go back to. And so it's this weird measure of like, maybe like I play Super Mario 64 a lot, even though I say I like Super Metroid more. So maybe I'm just kind of fooling myself. Like maybe Mario 64 is secretly my favorite game.
I don't think it's necessarily what you go back and play. Like I watched Land of the Lost a lot. The movie Land of the Lost. I don't think it's my favorite movie of all time, but I watched it a whole bunch.
Yeah, so is there a difference between the things that you have a willingness or a desire to go and experience over and over and the things that are your favorite?
I realized at one point I'd never beat Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the back
The Final Castles.
8, 2, 3, and 4, like as a kid, were like really hard. And I was best at games when I was a kid.
Yeah.
This is
So
a good feature.
That's absolutely one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah.
Easily.
It's different, like older games like that too. Like I would consider Donkey Kong Jr. one of my favorite games of all time, but I've never beaten that game.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different. Like modern games are more of like a story with an arc that you're supposed to
Sure,
experience
yeah.
to completion.
Yeah. Yeah, like I adore Miss Pac-Man. I've never. Can you beat Miss Pac-Man?
good luck
I don't know.
beating
Yeah.
that game. Short answer, Blake. There's no video game police that are going to come and arrest you if you say Metroid Prime is your favorite game, even without beating it.
Yeah, it can still, like, you go to Findrana Drifts and the music's all cool and it's very atmospheric and you're solving neat puzzles. And, like, that moment can be like, oh, this is my favorite game I've ever played. And, like, having not beaten the boss doesn't take away all those neat
I
moments.
mean, I
that
think
made
the
it
one
your
thing that
favorite.
takes it away is that Metroid Prime is the most overrated first-party Nintendo game ever.
It's offensive when you call games overrated in front of a bunch of people that like games.
Is Prime your favorite game of all time, Sam?
Yes.
Is it?
Thought so too.
Yeah.
Did you beat it?
No.
Are you Finn?
Are you Blake?
Wait, Blake?
I've definitely beat it.
Who's
I beat
Finn?
it many
Who's
times.
Finn?
Who's Finn?
And when I say it's my favorite game of all time, it's always a 3-way tie. You know,
With?
If there's Mario 3 and Ocarina of Time.
What about Breath of the Wild?
I love Breath of the Wild, but I haven't beaten it.
He has a part 2 of his question. He says, more importantly, do you guys think we'll ever get another Metroid Prime-esque game? We talked about that recently, like now in a post Breath of the Wild world.
Metroid is a great candidate to get the Breath of the Wild treatment.
Whoa. I can't even.
Yeah, man. God, imagine just an entire planet.
Breathroid of the Wild.
That's
No,
right.
that sounds bad.
Yeah.
Breathroids
Breathroid.
sound really bad.
Just an open world planet to explore.
Yeah.
Be incredible.
Well, will Breath of the Wild have a genre name like that? You got to
Well,
think of
open
another
air
game that's like
adventure.
it,
Yeah,
and then you have to I'm thinking of the Metroidvania thing.
Yeah.
Then you have to
Except Metroidvania is
or-
combining two
or
games.
roguelike, right? That's just it could be breath-like or something like that.
Breath.
a breath like.
I feel like Nintendo's always trying to coin new names for things. And they did coin open air adventure for Zelda, which I thought was very we all made fun of it. I think on this show, but I kind of buy into it because it is different than other open world games.
I feel like for every open world game that comes out now, we should make it see if it passes the breathalyzer test.
Yeah, that's
Really
right.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
So I still don't know what Breath of the Wild means. That name means nothing to
Yeah,
me.
having beaten it, I don't think it's not like revealed to you at the spoilers.
Oh,
It's not
yeah.
revealed to you at the end. I think it's just
I think it's just
just
sort of
sounds cool.
sort of
mean
like
you
a
didn't have
metaphor
that-
for the scope of the game.
You didn't have that cutscene at the end with Zelda that says, "Link, you are the breath of the wild."
Yeah,
That's weird. I
that's
got
if you
that.
find the final memory.
Yeah.
oh man, that reminds me of that terrible new. What's the new Planet of the Apes movie? War of the
War of
Planet?
the- yeah.
Have you the trailer ends with Woody Harrelson and be like, "If we lose, it will be a planet of apes." Like what?
And then Link looks at the camera and he says, "I know," and then it cuts to the
Cuts to
credits.
black. This is Dorian of Idaho. And first of all, Dorian is an unusual, cool name. And I always also like he's Dorian of Idaho.
Idaho, yeah, of House Idaho.
That's
Of
all.
the Idaho Dorians. He says, "Hey guys, love the show. Keep up the hard work." We're just goofing around here, Dorian.
Yeah, just a bunch of gags and goofs.
He says, "I used to be an avid gamer, always picking up the newest, biggest game out there. Regardless of whether or not it was my cup of tea, I would always play it to completion. But last year, I only played 2 games religiously. Those 2 games were The Witcher 3 and Overwatch.
Good ones to pick.
Yeah.
While I did play and buy more than just those games, I found that most of the time I would just rather play Overwatch or The Witcher. That's not to say I didn't have enough time or a lack of interest to get into those games. I'm 25 and I've got less time on my hands than I did when I was in college, but I believe my taste for what I want to spend my downtime on have become more particular or picky. So I'm curious to hear if you guys have ever gone through a phase like this and if you ever came out of it. He's going through a picky gamer phase.
Well, the nature of our jobs makes that a little bit hard. We're kind of forced to move on to game, but on a personal level, yeah. I mean, I'm not playing anything for my personal pleasure except Binding of Isaac right now, which is like 4 years old, right? Like if I played hours and hours and hours of it. I think the games that he listed, Witcher and especially Overwatch, they're very easy games just to become a way of life. Like there's way of life games, and then there's games that you experience for a little bit and then move on. And like
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah,
people that play Dota, like, and especially because those matches are long, like that just becomes a way of life game. You play 1 or 2 hours of that a night, and then it sucks up all the oxygen or space and time that you'd have for other games.
Plus, it's your social group.
yeah, totally.
So there's that social element.
So
of it.
that's
That's a
what's
great
interesting
point.
about those 2 games is that probably playing Overwatch with your best friends, and then you're playing Witcher when you don't want to hang out with those people.
Yeah, and like Overwatch has infinite replay, just given the competitive nature of the game, and Witcher 3. If you want to do everything in the game, I'm sure that takes probably 500 hours. So
Have you seen a whale yet?
And spoilers. Games also, a game like Overwatch, certain games, it's hard to articulate, but I've been wanting to write about it for a while. They can kind of like cast a spell over you where like it just becomes like you almost play it more out of habit. Like get home, play Overwatch, get home, play Overwatch. And like it forces, like there's games like an MMO will do this. Like I'll play World of Warcraft and I'll play it until I'm forced to stop for like a vacation or something.
Yeah.
And once I'm forced to stop and like spend time away from it, then when I come back, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
why did I, what did I do for the last 2 months? And like, that's how I was with Overwatch, is I played it religiously until I was forced to stop for, unrelated reasons. And then like jumping back in, sometimes that desire is just gone.
yeah, I was that way the first couple of weeks with Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
where I would play it everywhere I was walking, just because that's what you do. That's what I do. That's what I do now. And I was like, is this the rest of my life? And I'm like, no, this is 3 weeks of my life.
But once
I'm
it
never going to touch
once
it.
it becomes
still play
habit,
it.
Yeah, do you?
once it becomes habit, it's hard to break
Yeah.
a certain game. Like if a game has that loop of like just checking in every day.
Yeah. It's also easy with Pokemon Go because I would play it. Like I wouldn't be going, well, I did go out of my way, I guess, to take walks, but it'd be like, I walk 45 minutes to work. And so I'm just going to keep constantly
You had
having
a
it
good
open.
neighborhood
Yeah.
for that
Yeah.
too. Got all those coughings.
Yeah. Hella cocky.
It's interesting how like actually I think your like whole psyche gets used to
You're like that with Hearthstone, right?
yeah, I'm gonna say I was just noticing recently it's actually harder for me to fall asleep at night now if I don't play a game of Hearthstone.
Whoa.
Just because like I've gotten like used to like lying in bed and playing a game before I go to bed.
That would wake me up, I feel like.
So you like for you to stop playing Hearthstone, not that you need to or want to, but like you would probably need to be like go on vacation somewhere that had no internet connection or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Like
I don't know.
like just be forced to be away from it for a while, and then it's like way easier to just put it down than it would be without that.
Yeah.
Like the whole triple game industry is moving towards games as a service, and developers and publishers are trying to find ways to keep you playing their game for much longer than
By shipping it broken and then updating it
Well,
every year.
no.
You know, Overwatch skins and things that Destiny. Destiny wasn't the first game to do it, but it pioneered a lot of it in the big AAA shooter space.
I mean, even if you look at a lot of the games this fall, like Mario aside, between Destiny and Red Dead and Call of Duty and Battlefront, like these are games that want to like live in your life, and they want to be the only thing you're playing, which I find really interesting.
And Witcher 3 is big enough to be your
It
life.
can do that
you
as
know,
a
for
same thing with
long
Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
period of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like there's nothing wrong with it, Dorian. Like if you're getting enjoyment out of it, you're having fun. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah.
You know, the point isn't to play every single game that comes out. I don't think.
No, I mean, there's definitely, I name dropped the Eternal as a CCG, a card game that's sort of a Hearthstone style game that I did nothing but play Eternal for a while. I did nothing but play Risk of Rain for a while. Like, it's easy to fall down like a game rabbit hole and just play one or two things.
For sure. Over my life, I've gone through phases where I was more into gaming than
sure.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that before. I feel like last year, maybe it was forced because there wasn't, we've talked about it. I think last year was not a great year for games, and I went through big periods where there wasn't anything new out that was exciting to me. But I feel like this year in 2017 so far, I just can't, I can't get away from games because there's so much new coming out that's exciting and like,
I haven't felt this overwhelmed with choice this early in the year.
A lot of us have like other things that
Even
we do
this fall,
with our time.
like,
and
I was playing games only during maybe like a heavy November, December period, but I felt like in September, October, I was like, there's not much to play right now.
There's like other stuff that I try to be productive and work on in my life, but lately I just can't do anything but play all the new games that are coming out. I guess that's fine.
Same.
That's my phase.
Good times.
It is a good time. Before we play video game 20 questions, let's share what we've been playing this week.
Just did, Damon.
Well, we haven't shared everything. I did say I was playing Persona 5, and I'm liking it a lot. I think
Cool.
Yeah.
I've never played a Persona game before.
nice.
Yeah, I have Persona 4 on my Vita that I just haven't started yet.
I've never played a Persona either, and I'll definitely play it.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's got, first of all, it's got
Did you get
awesome.
through the first like tutorial dungeon or whatever?
Yeah, that's kind of like it's got a very long hand-holding
Yeah.
tutorial where there's lots of systems that the game's teaching you, which is fine with me. I like games with lots of systems. Disgaea the same way, although this isn't a strategy game. But I don't play a lot of Japanese JRPGs anymore, but this seems like if you're gonna play a JRPG, this is the one.
It is so dripping with style in every second of the game, visually, in terms of music, in terms of just clothing. Like the game is just cool.
I love the music.
Yeah, the music's incredible, and it's such a cool depiction of Tokyo.
Cool character design.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if you know Tokyo,
costume in it.
Yeah,
if you know Tokyo at all, it's awesome to actually be able to walk out of Shibuya Station
and you're like,
there's the
this is it?
Hachiko statue.
Yeah,
it's right here where it's supposed to be.
That's
so
so
cool.
cool.
And it's like, despite the fact that it is a traditional, semi-traditional turn-based JRPG, the battles move so fast and briskly, and animation and loading times, like it has an internal energy to it that I'm absolutely loving.
Yeah, it's a really cool game. I'm totally. It's hooks into me now, and I look forward to getting even deeper into that.
I started a lot of stuff. I started Snake Pass and Ukulele and Nier, and it's not a reflect. I feel like the problem is me, not those games. I want to play Isaac more than any of those. I can remain hooked on Binding of Isaac. I don't have enough good things to say about that game, but I kind of ranted about it last week. So
Yeah. Well, Snake Pass is also a game like Ukulele that looks awesome to me, but again, the reviews are like 7s.
Yeah,
And
I like you. I think
I feel like there's too much out right now that's an 8 or a 9
Yeah.
to spend my time with the 7s.
I respect Snake Pass for doing like this idea that it's just not often you see a game do something completely new.
Yeah.
And I've never seen or played a game that felt like that. So I respect it for that. But just because I respect it for that doesn't mean that how it feels is particularly good. Like I like Ukulele more. Snake Pass was too odd for me.
Yeah, it's like Octodad. Like I really wanted to like that game, but I never really.
I mean, Octodad leans into the
Brad
comedy side of it at least.
Yeah, it's funny.
I really want to get into
Snake
Nier
game's not
because Nier is one of those games that it doesn't seem like a ton of people are playing, but everyone I respect who is playing it loves it and says it's like just like the sleeper hit of the year.
I made it through the tutorial, and it's out of those games I name dropped, that's the one I'm most likely to go back to.
So you made it through the bullet hell section?
Yeah.
What a weird game.
Yeah.
It doesn't autosave.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw
The
Nick
whole
Chester
the
tweet
whole
out
time.
that like He died 40 minutes into the game before the game would let you save.
That sucks. You have to be pretty bad to do that, Nick.
Wow.
That's one slight annoyance about Persona 5 is you can't save whenever you want. And if you're like in a dungeon and you're like feeling like you want to take a break, you have to kind of keep going. But.
Yeah.
Two cool things about Nier. It doesn't autosave, which, that's not cool in and of itself, but there's a story, like there's an in-game reason why. Like when you're saving, it's there's doing something in the fiction that is neat. Like it's just unusual to see saving as a game mechanic like that. And you are an android, like you're a robot, and you can unload parts of the HUD to gain more memory spots to like power up your character.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to unload my map to make room in my internal memory to load in this power
really cool,
up, this
right?
other thing that makes me stronger. And if you unload, like you can unload the OS, but then it kills you and you get a game over screen.
Well, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, keep
it
the
does.
OS.
It does warn you that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Sam.
I've been playing Wheel of Fortune for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Got very drunk with some friends, played it. So good. They asked questions like, what sports require footwear? And then you have to rank them. And in 1988, things are very different, especially when it comes to actors and actresses.
That doesn't sound like a Wheel of Fortune, though.
That sounds like Jeopardy.
Sorry, I meant Family Feud. Is
Oh.
it Wheel of Fortune?
Yeah.
Wheel of Fortune I always think about because it has a great intro where it goes, Real Fortune. No, I'm playing Family Feud.
Gotcha.
Playing those NES games is great because you're right. You're not only playing the game,
Really
but you're also playing the era.
It's like getting an old Trivial Pursuit.
Yeah, you have to guess.
And in Trivial Pursuit, it's already really hard. And then you get the sports questions, and those are impossible. And you go in the past, and like the movie questions are really hard.
Yeah.
It's cool.
What character has never played Batman? Ben Affleck. That's a real Trivial Pursuit question.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
when?
that's great.
It was like, which character has never played Batman? George Clooney, Val Kilmer.
Ben Affleck.
Christian
Yeah,
Bale or
Ben
Ben
Affleck.
Affleck. Yeah.
That's funny.
It's pretty good.
Out of date.
And that brings us to Video Game 20 Questions. Our suggestion this week comes from Blake G. in Buford, Georgia.
Buford.
Let the questioning begin.
Can you see your hands?
Yes. Dun dun dun.
It's
So
not.
many games where you can see
It's not
it.
Half-Life.
Does that mean it's not a CCG?
Well,
Your metaphorical hands.
unclear. So Damon, you've played a lot of Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
In Hearthstone, are you playing as like your character? Like, are you Anduin the priest, or are you?
No, because when you launch the game, they welcome you into the tavern and say, "Have a
Yeah.
seat." You're playing a card game.
So
in that world,
So you're not some mage summoning creatures and spells. You're playing a card game at a
no.
tavern.
But
Can you
I
see your
believe
hands?
that since it's you can't. But since it's a magical world, I think all those animations are real on the card.
Sure, it's like the chess in Star Wars.
And so when creatures slam into each other and are going, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa,
that's
is that
really
people
happening
in the tavern.
well, it's both.
It's like the
You hear-
Star Wars chess thing.
Yeah, exactly. The people around you that are watching you play are commenting, and also the cards are making noise too.
Now that we got that out of the way.
was this game after January 1st, 2000?
No,
It's one of those early hand
Yeah,
games.
is it before 1990?
no.
All right, it's a
90s.
90s hand game.
Was this exclusive to a console?
Yes,
Ooh,
It means it can't be uniracers.
it cannot be universes.
that's what that
You
means.
couldn't see your hands in it.
Is this of the 16-bit era?
Yes.
Wait, this is exclusive?
It's an exclusive, so it's either a Sega or. Do you want to lock down Sega?
Yeah.
Is this a SNES exclusive?
No.
Ooh.
Is it on Genesis?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a Genesis exclusive.
Well, it could be TurboGrafx 16.
Well, and I was worried about some Game
I don't
Boy
want to. I don't want to
trickery.
get to the end of this and be bonk.
I don't want to
be
be
awful.
bonked. That would have been really bad if
You
we
can't
went
see his hands.
All right,
Yeah.
Genesis exclusive
with hands.
with hands.
Handy game.
Was this game made by Sega?
Yes.
Okay.
Does this game star a hedgehog?
No.
Alex Kidd?
Mean Bean Machine.
No, you can't see hands in that game. What if it's Vector Man?
Dr. Robotnik.
What if it's weird Vector-
Wait, Altered Beast?
You just name it. You're yelling.
Sega made it. Oh, that's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
We're assuming this is a side scroller, right?
Oh no. I assume nothing.
Is this a side scroller?
No.
All
That's
right.
10.
Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot I'm not thinking about now. Maybe Fantasy Star. Okay, so we got hands.
I don't.
Fantasy Star. One of the four of them.
Was
Wait, but it's a console exclusive.
It's a Genesis
It's a
game made by
Genesis
Sega.
exclusive made by Sega, but it is
Fantasy
not a.
Star's an arcade game.
But it's not a
it's not,
platformer.
right?
No, Fantasy.
Oh no,
Star,
no,
the RPG.
You're thinking of the other thing. Phantasy Star was there.
Was that a Master System too?
Yes, that's why I don't remember. I think one is on Master
But
System.
it could be like 2, 3, or 4.
and 2, 3, or 4 were on. Okay, is it an RPG?
Yes.
It's probably Phantasy Star.
Is it a Fantasy Star game?
No.
All right.
Wow.
Wait,
All right. Well, that really.
wait. What other RPGs did Sega make?
Is Beyond Oasis an RPG?
Yeah,
Is it? Did Sega make that?
I don't think so, but it was on the Genesis. But they might have made it. All right,
Yeah, it's in the Ultimate Sega Genesis or also Ultimate Mega Drive collection. Or
I'm trying to
whatever.
think.
What other RPGs did they make?
Yeah, that's really tripping me up. I don't know. Wait, did they make their own crappy version? They didn't make a Super Mario RPG, did they? But it doesn't have Sonic in it.
What about
No, there was the BioWare did the Sonic RPG for Game Boy.
What about turn-based RPG type things? Or I mean,
Oh,
strategy games.
Like they never.
Any one of those?
Shining Force was never on.
Shining.
They did Shining Force, so they did do Shining Force.
Was that on
That's right.
Genesis?
Well, I only remember it from like Saturn, but it
So do I.
existed before that.
Did it?
Yeah. I don't know how to narrow it down in a smart way. Well, okay, so Phantasy Star is sci-fi themed. Oh, is this a? Wait, we know it's not Phantasy Star.
No, it's not Fantasy Star, which probably means it's fantasy themed.
Is it a fantasy themed game?
Yes.
I guess that was a useless question.
That wasn't useful. I'm not sure why he asked that.
It's probably either Shining Force or Beyond Oasis.
I don't.
but I don't know anything
I don't know
about-
what Beyond Oasis is.
Shining Force.
It's a Zelda-like.
All right, Damon. This is not.
Wait. Was Beyond Oasis a one-time game?
Yeah.
So can we ask if it's part of a series?
Now you're cooking with gas.
Is it a part of a series?
Yes.
It's probably the original Shining Force.
Yeah, I've never played that game. I don't know anything about it.
I didn't ever remember it originating on the Genesis.
I didn't
only
either.
remembered
That's
it-
why I'm a little worried.
Is
I
this
only
game-
think of it as a Saturn
Come on,
game,
a Sega made RPG.
but I don't think of it like.
Does this game have a force in it?
Sure.
All right,
I've-
is it Shining Force?
Yes.
Woo!
I've
Original
never-
Shining Force.
I've never seen the.
Yeah, I
Genesis
can't even
Shining
think of like
Force.
what it would look
One of my
like.
favorite games, turn-based strategy game released on the
I
Genesis.
mean, at least I knew there was a turn-based strategy game that Sega made, but I couldn't come up with a name. So thanks for that.
1993. 1993. The original was on the Sega Genesis,
Yeah.
and as was the second one.
I can picture the cover.
There's a Game Gear spin-off, and then Shining Force 3 came to the Saturn.
And wasn't Shining Force 3 the one that they released it in like 2 or 3 parts?
I think that was the plan, but then the other parts never actually surfaced.
Like
they were
with
going to
the
release
Sega
like
channel?
Shining. It was going to be part 2 and part 3, which is going to be half sequel, but half like it was going to be the same game, but from someone else's perspective. It sounded really neat, but I don't know.
Shining Force is a totally awesome game. It's Sega's like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Or,
Yeah.
or Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Like Sega's Fire Emblem.
nice.
It's really, really fun.
They needed that.
Yeah, it's great.
Never played that.
Thank you for the suggestion. Chad G. in Buford,
That's a pretty tough one, honestly.
Georgia.
But
I
just
didn't know.
Genesis
it
narrows
just-
it down a lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, once you know it's a Genesis RPG made by Sega, I mean, you're right. There's Phantasy Star and there's Shining Force.
Would you
I don't
have
know
called Beyond Oasis? It's hard.
because it's like it is a Zelda-like, and I
Yeah.
don't think Zelda is an RPG. So
I agree.
there was a big discussion about that happening
Not,
yesterday.
nope. Not talking about that.
I don't want to get into that.
Oh, wait, do you have something to say?
No, we're doing the top 100 RPGs, and this is
Yeah.
a very sore subject.
Yeah, that's coming soon. Do we have a release date? For that yet?
Early May, right? Is that what we're shooting for?
Did Breath of the Wild pass the breathalyzer test?
I don't want to get into it.
It was a heated discussion.
Yeah, you can look for top 100 RPGs in May on IGN. Early
In
May.
May. All right. Stay tuned for that. That is all the scoops we have for you this week. It's a long weekend for us here at IGN because of the holiday weekend. But
Star Wars holiday.
yeah, it's Star Wars holiday. Star Wars celebration is going on, so we are expecting the first trailer for The Last Jedi. The first trailer for The Last Jedi
As well as Battlefront 2.
come this weekend, as well as Battlefront 2. But I'm much more excited for it, The Last Jedi. So.
Yeah.
Very excited for that this weekend. So thank you, Justin. Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Sam.
Thank
Remember,
you.
you can always reach us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com. My name is Damon. This is IGN Gamescoop. And we're out. I think I said the email address wrong. I think it's just gamescoop@ign.com.
What did you say?
I don't know.